Hey y'all, so we've got a project to do. My name's Ed, and what we've got here is something I picked up from an auction online. It's a 10 gauge muzzle loading shotgun, double barrel. All right. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna go along and we are going to look up a little bit of history on this firearm. Then we are going to proceed. We're going to proceed to take it apart. We're going to clean it. We are going to be doing things to it that some firearms folks out there are gonna balk. They're gonna say, no, no, no. You're gonna ruin the value of that firearm. It's a 120, 130-year-old muzzle loading shotgun that's in that kind of good shape, still has its ramrod. What do you think you're doing? Well, I'll tell you. I plan on using it. And in order to use it, I want to clean it up and give it a new life. So, first thing we're going to do is get the bench ready. All right, so get it up here where we can take a good look at it. All right. So, what we have here is a James Bowen and Son Enterprise Pittsburgh, PA. Now, on the other side, or up on the top, I should say, we have here Laminated Steel Enterprise Gunworks. All right. Now, everything works. All the springs are intact. Let's do a little research. So we're going to pull out Small Arms Makers book by Colonel Robert Gardner. We are going to look up and see what we can find here. Oops. About James Bowen. So what we have here is Bowen and Tetley established a rifle and gun manufacturer at Pittsburgh, PA in 1848. In 1950, they employed 25 hands with an annual payroll of $15,000 and produced 4,000 guns and rifles per year. James Bowen became the sole proprietor in 1862. Makers of fine single and double rifles and double rifle shotguns. James Bowen, see preceding entry and next entry. James Bowen and Son, James and William H. Bowen, Pittsburgh, PA, owners and operators of the Enterprise Gunworks, 136 to 138 Wood Street. 1871 to 1882, 121 Wood Street in 1883, bought out by Brown and Hirth about 1885. Okay, so we know that it was James Bowen and Son from 1871 to 1882. That's 11 years. I'm going to go back over here. Enterprise Gunworks, Pittsburgh, PA, established in 1848 by James Bowen and Tetley. Bowen became sole proprietor in 1862, and in 1871 his son William H. Bowen was admitted, and the firm became James Bowen and Son to continue until 1879. Or later, produced rifles, rifle barrels, and shotguns until 1879. So 71 to 79, that's 8 years or later. So we know that at the very earliest, this shotgun is 1871. Very latest, we don't know what or later means, but for sure 1879. All right, and then till 1883. So 1883. So 1883 is the latest that this shotgun could be. So 1883, 1871 to 1883, it was James Bowen and Son. So James Bowen and Son, 71, so 12 years. All right, so James Bowen and Son, 1871 to 1883, that's 12 years under this company name. It's 2024 now. That makes this shotgun between 141 and 153 years old. So when you go to take something that old apart, you've really got to take your time, pay attention to detail, pay attention to where things are coming from, use good tools. You don't want to hurt it. Now, let me say something. I know there's going to be people out there that are going to, don't you take that apart. The value of that firearm, blah, 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 patina this, patina that. Look, it's my gun. I bought it. I want to use it. And in order to use it, I'm going to give it a second life. And what that means to me is I'm going to take this apart. I'm going to scrub the stock. I'm going to refinish the stock. Now, we're going to do this together. But we're going to reblue the metal. We're going to hone out the cylinders. We might find some broken parts that we need to manufacture or fix along the way. But again, we're going to do this together. So I hope you enjoy it. It's probably going to be pretty long. And now we're going to get started. So if you ever decide you're going to do something like this will actually be the second vintage shotgun that I restore. The first one I'll show you later turned out amazing. It's a 12 gauge. That's in the 120-year-old range, and it turned out amazing. So this firearm, when you get your firearm and you decide that you're going to do something like this, the first thing you're going to want to do is take a long look at everything. Take inventory of the firearm. Take a close look at the wood. Is something actually broken that you haven't noticed before you're actually getting to where you're going to get? Look at the screws. The screws, are they original screws? Has this gun been apart before? How long ago was it apart? Can you tell? There's several things that we're gonna do just to get started. One of the first things we're gonna do is we're gonna take a look down the bore. All right. So to look down the bore, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and take a flashlight here. We're gonna see what we see. Let's see here. Bore is actually surprisingly smooth and clean for a 153-year-old gun. I'm not seeing any light coming in through the, so it might just be dirty. It's fine. All right, let's take a look here at what we've got here. We've got our ramrod. Nice. So just looking at it so far, I mean, you know, there's some nicks and oh, what do we have here? Some lettering that's covered in the dirt there. And Okay. Okay. First find. I can see here there's a hairline crack through that right there. All right, so let's take a look here. All right, so what I'm going to start with is I'm going to pull the hammers off. So one of the things I found is Ziplocs and a Sharpie are your friend when you're taking something apart that's this old. Because what you'll find is these were put together by hand, and a lot of times this screw will not go in the other side. This screw is made exactly for that spot. This screw is made exactly for that spot. And so what I do now is I will label everything. Oh my God, I can't believe this guy's about to take apart this gun. All right, here we go. So this will be the left hammer. Oh, nice. You want to take your time. Some of these parts may not have been apart for 100 years. That came apart good. This has been well oiled, maintained. Nice. Ooh, that's gonna need some PB plaster or something, I think. As you can see, I'm taking extreme care not to add any new, yeah, I hear you, new damage. What I mean by labeling and separating. So here's everything for the left hammer so far. It's screw the hammer, it's nipple. Same with the right hammer. And note how long left hammer screw is. I don't know if you can see that. Right hammer screw literally has only 2 threads. And I think it's broken off inside on the other side. So that's something we're gonna have to deal with once we get to that point. All right, next, I think what we wanna try and do is get the barrel off. And so we're gonna start by taking a close look at this pin here. All right, so this right retainer, as I got the screw out, I realized even though we saw one hairline, looks like this might be in multiple pieces. Right retainer. Oh, that came out. It's actually moving nice. Oh, what do you know? What do you know? Oh. Oh yeah. This is multiple pieces. All right, let's get ready here. I wonder what year that broke. I wonder what year this came apart that someone broke that. Oh, I feel other pieces. So both of these pieces that retain this are broken into multiple pieces. So we will be manufacturing some new ones. This is actually coming out right here by hand. Oh, nice. All right, well, here we go. We have removed the barrel set from the stock. And if I'm understanding this right, these might come off. Oh, that's so nice. All right, so just real quick, just kind of take a quick look here. Oh yeah, it's nice and clean. All right, more of that to come. All right, so now we've got the barrel off. Take a look at what we have here. Okay. We've got our hammer mechanisms. I've got one screw here. We've got our trigger assemblies. We've got 4 screws here. I think we'll start with, let's see, look at this wood. Okay. We'll start with taking out the trigger assembly. Let's see what we got here. No, I don't like the screwdriver. I need my bigger one. Okay. Oops. Don't. No. Take it easy. Oh, there she goes. All right, so I've got all 4 screws out, but she's still holding on in there. And just being real careful, I discovered this guy here. Oh, look at that. Still, so I'm thinking this goes all the way through. Oh boy. Oh, nice. Very nice. Nice. There's the trigger assembly. Do some work to that, clean that up. Spring. Very nice. Left. And right. Okay. So we do have a crack in the stock in here. Oh, what's this guy? Okay, we've got this detail up front here where the ramrod goes in. There's its screw. Here's the ramrod detail and its screw. And last but not least, the butt plate. And there's the butt plate. We will be washing everything, cleaning everything up real good. Polishing, rebluing, honing, scrubbing, 150 years dirt and oil. We're gonna put, I'm not gonna be sanding any of these out. I want that character of, you know, I'm 150 years old. I survived. I mean, there's some bangs and some dings and some gouges here and there, but nothing surprisingly horrible. I mean, I've got some pitting here. I haven't gotten into the barrels completely yet. That's it right there. So at one time it had what, a sling stud, and they decided they didn't want a sling stud, so they filled it with a brass patch. Just some mild soap and water and a brush. Scrub out the bulk of the heavy oil and soot. I mean, here you can see this. This is right up. This is all black powder residues. Okay. All right. Well, that's good for tonight. And tomorrow we'll start doing some cleanup and looking in the barrels and see if we need to set the barrels in the electrolysis rust removal bath. I'm thinking I probably will with things like the butt plate. That's got some pretty substantial old rust on it. The hammer mechanisms, the trigger mechanism. But here we can see here. This is, so here's our trigger assembly, right? Here's our right hammer assembly. Left hammer assembly. Retainer, we're gonna have to do some work with the retainer, right and left. Got our breech plate where the barrel's attached to, and the ramrod detail from the front. We're gonna put everything into one bag, and we will come back to this tomorrow. See you then. So I wanted to go ahead real quick and show you how this other one turned out. See, I reblued all the metal work. Barrels. And so this is the 12 gauge, which is my wife's black powder. We're gonna make it black powder because what I did was I bought brass 12 gauge shells, and we'll load them with black powder. Anyway, that's what I have the intent to do with that 10 gauge. And then you can see here, I did a hand rub finish on the stock, but I left all its character, all its nicks and bumps. So there you go. All right, so here we are. Yesterday we took it apart, broke it down, got all the metal off of the wood. We've got 150 years of buildup, oils, grease, soot from being a black powder, all embedded into the wood. All right. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna take some warm water and good old-fashioned Dawn and a bristly brush, and we're gonna give this a bath. Especially in the checkering. You figure you've got 150 years of dead skin cells and body oil that's packing in there. Get it good and clean. You're only doing this once. And I have found when doing this that getting it sudsy is key. to really bringing the dirt out of the old wood. So this is what I mean by sudsing. I mean, don't be afraid to use that soap in your brush. Okay, I think that's probably all the more we're going to do. We're going to give it a good rinse. We're going to take a look at what it looks like. And if we have to do it again, we can. Really, we're just getting body oils, the dirt, 150 years of dirt, oil buildup. Get it in the sun here. Okay, I think we need a little bit more in here. Get past that. It's looking pretty good in there. A little bit more in here, I think. And that one. The checkering, we will go through and give it one more good scrub. Get it down to the wood nice and clean. Your guardian angel is going to start whispering in your ear after a little bit of doing this and scrubbing it and telling you that this old stock has been in warm water long enough. You're going to give it a good look. You're going to decide that you've reached a point where it still has character, but you've cleaned, you pulled oils, body oils, dead skin cells out. You cleaned it up where you're happy. I think I could get just a little bit more right there. And then we're going to go and use the air compressor to blow it dry. All right, that's it. I'm calling it official. That is all the scrubbing we are going to give. And you'll see, once we rub the hand rub lacquer into this wood, it's going to be amazing. You'll see. We're going to take it out to the garage and we're going to blow it dry. Now while the compressor gets up to pressure, we're going to go ahead and take a towel and we're going to dry off any excess moisture that we can get to. All right, air compressor's all full. Now we're just going to hit the entire stock. High pressure air.
Yeah, it's definitely pulling some more out. I think we'll do that instead of getting it wet again.
I'm not pushing real hard. I'm just trying to break loose just that last little bit of oils and fouling that's in the wood grain. So I've been sitting here scrubbing and cleaning and trying to figure out, I couldn't figure out why we have this line, and then I remembered when I got it, it had this butt pad on this gun. I took this old rubber butt pad off, and that's why we have this delineation here. All right, so I'm going to do one more thing here. We're getting real close to what I want to see as far as the color of the wood here by the hammers. This side's being just a little stubborn. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to heat it up with my heat gun. Just a little bit, not a lot, just enough so that when I put the solvent on it, the solvent can break that up. All right, it's a little elbow grease, a little ram oil, a little heat, a little bit of solvent, and you know, I'm pretty happy with it. It still has some character, but now I've got, you know, some wood coloring showing through the stock. I've managed with some heat and some ram oil to almost completely hide that line where you can see it on this side a little bit more prevalent right there. So I'm oiling this side and not the side that was underneath that butt pad, and then heating it so that the wood absorbs a little bit of oil on this drier side. A little bit more on that side. It'll come, you can barely see it on that side. And I think once I put the lacquer on it, it'll really clean up. Now I'm just gonna set this aside, leave it alone. I'm gonna get to work on the other parts. Got some de-rusting to do, got some honing to do, and we'll cover all of that. All right, so a little elbow grease, a little ram oil, a little heat, a little bit of solvent, and you know, I'm pretty happy with it. It still has some character, but now I've got, you know, some wood coloring showing through the stock. I've managed with some heat and some ram oil to almost completely hide that line where you can see it on this side a little bit more prevalent right there. So I'm oiling this side and not the side that was underneath that butt pad, and then heating it so that the wood absorbs a little bit of oil on this drier side. A little bit more on that side. It'll come, you can barely see it on that side. And I think once I put the lacquer on it, it'll really clean up. Now I'm just gonna set this aside, leave it alone. I'm gonna get to work on the other parts. Got some de-rusting to do, got some honing to do, and we'll cover all of that. So I'm not gonna try crazy hard to take this off. Only because I'm looking here and I'm wondering if this has been pinned in, because there's that mark on each side. It's very possible that when these were put together, that got pinned and it's meant to never come apart again. So we're just gonna give it, I've been heating it, I've been adding PB Blaster. We're gonna grab a hold of it, put a little bit of torque on it and see if it'll turn. If it moves at all, we know we can get it off. If it doesn't, we're not gonna damage it, and we can do all our honing with a sealed barrel. All right, so it has been officially determined that these are not meant to ever come out since the day that it was manufactured. These are pins that are in here holding that from turning, and I am not going to mess with drilling them out to get it open. I can do all my honing with this being a closed system. All right, moving on to honing class. We are going to need our honing oil. Our honing oil applicator. Our honing actuator. And our hones. So, we have 800, which is fine. We have 400, which is medium. The 180, unfortunately, is currently back ordered. So this is a 10 gauge barrel hone. All right. So with lots of oil, a drill, this guy right here, we will clean that barrel up on the inside so it looks brand new. We want to have a rag on the opposing end. I've got the nipples out so that we've got a way for the oil to escape. All right. And we are going to attach our hone and start honing out the insides of these barrels. All right, so now what we're going to do is we are going to... All right, so now what we're going to do, now that we've done some honing, is we are going to remove the bluing from everything that we want to reblue. And the way we're going to do that is with good old-fashioned chemistry. We are going to submerge everything that we want deblued in vinegar. 30 minutes, 40 minutes, something around there. And when we pull it out and clean it off, all bluing should be removed from the metal. So step one in order to do that is we've got to remove all oil and grease from the metal. With a little help from our friend acetone, we have done that to the barrel. We have removed all oils, greases, etc. from the barrel. Okay, so we're going to do it in sections. First section we're going to do is going to be the butt plate, the breech, the ramrod detail, the screws, and the trigger assembly. So we're going to degrease all of this first in some acetone with a brush and then dry it off. Now, as you can see, this is pretty rusty, but we're not going to worry about that because we're going to run it through the de-rusting. What we're doing right now is just getting all the grease and oil off. First batch of clean de-oiled stuff. Now we'll move on to triggers, or I'm sorry, hammers. So we have degreased all of our parts, and we have them in our handy dandy Tupperware. We're now going to cover them in straight vinegar. Just making sure that everything is covered. We're going to put a cover on it, a lid on it. All right. We're going to do this 30 minutes. What we're going to do is we're going to set this in such a way that we don't. We're going to set this in such a way that that last piece that's a little tall gets covered. Now I'm going to cover this and I'm going to set a wedge under it. Well, I'll tell you what, it smells like coloring Easter eggs in here. All right, everything is submerged that we want to remove the blue from. We're going to start a 30-minute timer. Actually, we're going to start a 15-minute timer. We're going to give it a shake, shake, shake. As Taylor Swift would say. And then another 15 minutes. Now we've got the barrels degreased, right? Here's the thing. We're going to need more vinegar. With the vinegar that I have in there and the vinegar that's still in the jug, I think I only have 1 gallon. I think I'm going to need 2 gallons, maybe 3, to completely cover this barrel inside this PVC chamber for blue removal. Let's see. Okay, so we'll put that all the way down there. And you just raise the end of this just enough. I might be able to do it. Now, as you can see if we can see down here. We are almost completely submerged in vinegar. So I'm going to go with that. It's the top that is submerged. In the very back, you know what? I actually think I want to reverse that. All right, so as you can see, this appears to still have blue on it, but as soon as you wipe it, boy, it comes right off. I'm going to give it a brushing. All right, so 150-year-old blue is coming off rather well. It's been 30 minutes. We're going to give it another 10 minutes and give it another scrub, another 10 minutes, give it another scrub, and until we are down to just steel and just about ready to go into derust, electrolytic anti-rusting, derusting, I mean, rust removal, rust conversion. All right, so a quick recap for tonight. What we did was we submerged all our parts in vinegar. The vinegar, chemical reaction, removed all the old bluing. 150-year-old bluing, gone. Just like we wanted. Now what I've done is, of course, now here's the deal. There is 0 rust protection on this steel. So you're gonna run the risk, if you don't get either you blew it all right now. What I'm doing is I'm actually taking my a little wire brush and I'm getting all the corners, nooks and crannies like so, cleaning up. Okay, just getting the last little bits of issue. Look how pretty that is. That turned out to be a copper inlay. That's going to really look sharp. But like, so I'm just doing a quick wire brushing and all the nooks and crannies. And what I'm going to do, because I'm going to call it a night here in a minute, I'm just going to shoot it with some good old rem oil. Give it a layer of oil so it doesn't rust overnight. Give all the parts a quick layer of oil. And we'll just have to strip them when it's time to blue it, which is no big deal. All right. And just like that, I'm going to leave that to soak. I'm not going to wipe it all up really good so that there's a good layer of oil everywhere. Make sure that everything has oil. Okay, so we'll put that all the way down there. And you just raise the end of this just enough. I might be able to do it. Now, as you can see if you can see down here. We are almost completely submerged in vinegar. So I'm going to go with that. It's the top that is submerged. In the very back, you know what? I actually think I want to reverse that. All right, so as you can see, this appears to still have blue on it, but as soon as you wipe it, boy, it comes right off. I'm gonna give it a brushing. All right, so 150-year-old blue is coming off rather well. It's been 30 minutes. We're gonna give it another 10 minutes and give it another scrub, another 10 minutes, give it another scrub. And until we are down to just steel and just about ready to go into derust, electrolytic anti-rusting, derusting, I mean, rust removal, rust conversion. All right, so a quick recap for tonight. What we did was we submerged all our parts in vinegar. The vinegar chemical reaction removed all the old bluing. 150-year-old bluing gone, just like we wanted. Now what I've done is, of course, now here's the deal. There is zero rust protection on this steel. So you're gonna run the risk, if you don't get either you blew it all right now. What I'm doing is I'm actually taking my a little wire brush and I'm getting all the corners, nooks and crannies like so, cleaning up. Okay, just getting the last little bits of issue. Look how pretty that is. That turned out to be a copper inlay. That's gonna really look sharp. But like, so I'm just doing a quick wire brushing and all the nooks and crannies. And what I'm going to do, because I'm going to call it a night here in a minute, I'm just going to shoot it with some good old rem oil. Give it a layer of oil so it doesn't rust overnight. Give all the parts a quick layer of oil. And we'll just have to strip them when it's time to blue it, which is no big deal. All right. And just like that, I'm gonna leave that to soak. I'm not gonna wipe it all up really good so that there's a good layer of oil everywhere. Make sure that everything has oil. Okay, so we'll put that all the way down there. And you just raise the end of this just enough. I might be able to do it. Well, as you can see if you can see down here. We are almost completely submerged in vinegar. So I'm going to go with that. It's the top that is submerged. In the very back, you know what? I actually think I want to reverse that. All right, so as you can see, this appears to still have blue on it, but as soon as you wipe it, boy, it comes right off. I'm gonna give it a brushing. All right, so 150-year-old blue is coming off rather well. It's been 30 minutes. We're gonna give it another 10 minutes and give it another scrub, another 10 minutes, give it another scrub. And until we are down to just steel and just about ready to go into derust, electrolytic anti-rusting, derusting, I mean, rust removal, rust conversion. All right, so a quick recap for tonight. What we did was we submerged all our parts in vinegar. The vinegar chemical reaction removed all the old bluing. 150-year-old bluing gone, just like we wanted. Now what I've done is, of course, now here's the deal. There is zero rust protection on this steel. So you're gonna run the risk, if you don't get either you blew it all right now. What I'm doing is I'm actually taking my a little wire brush and I'm getting all the corners, nooks and crannies like so, cleaning up. Okay. Just getting the last little bits of issue. Look how pretty that is. That turned out to be a copper inlay. That's gonna really look sharp. But like, so I'm just doing a quick wire brushing and all the nooks and crannies. And what I'm going to do, because I'm going to call it a night here in a minute, I'm just going to shoot it with some good old Rem oil. Give it a layer of oil so it doesn't rust overnight. Give all the parts a quick layer of oil. And we'll just have to strip them when it's time to blue it, which is no big deal. All right. And just like that, I'm going to leave that to soak. I'm not going to wipe it all up really good so that there's a good layer of oil everywhere. Make sure that everything has oil. All right, so we made the electrolytic chamber long for the barrel. Now we need to talk about all the other parts that we want to take the rust off of. All right. Right now what we're going to look at is dealing with, say, a whole bunch of screws, small parts that you can't necessarily hang inside the chamber. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to the hardware store, to the Home Depot, wherever, and you're going to get yourself some of this here. It's a roll of aluminum screen. All right, aluminum screen. You're going to cut yourself a piece of aluminum screen like this. You're going to take your aluminum screen, you're going to fold it over. Now you can see this is about the size of my hand. Doesn't need to be real big. It's aluminum because aluminum is conductive. Electricity is going to flow through it. All right, then what we do is we're going to get ourselves a piece of that copper wire that, for one side, let's start at the bottom. We're going to call this the bottom. A little bit longer than the bottom. All right. Now we're going to take this and we are going to, it doesn't have to be pretty. We're literally going to stitch this copper wire through the aluminum screen. Just like this. Alright. Just like that. I'm going to take this end, just going to fold it over. Alright, just like that. Alright, we're going to leave that like that. We're going to get our next piece. Now we're going to get a long piece. Alright, we've got a longer piece here. Right, if I lay it on there, you can see it's considerably longer. Alright. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make ourselves a little, like a purse, for lack of a better term. We're going to do the same thing here. We're going to stitch this guy just like this. You can make it as pretty or as basic as you need to. Obviously the key, here I'm going to move you. Obviously the key to this is how effective is it? And what it has to, the key to it is it has to be conductive. So it has to be metal. Has to be with holes small enough that your screws aren't going to fall out of it, all right? But it also has to be something that allows the fluid to pass through it. All right, now what I'm going to do is, you see here we've got our two pieces of wire down here at the end that are a little extra long. Now I'm just going to twist these together. All right, again, it doesn't have to be pretty. Just going to give these Just an initial twist, just like that, right? All right, something like that, something like that. So, aluminum's conductive, copper's conductive, all right? Now we've got a pouch. To be open at the top, doesn't have to be closed, all right? We've got a nice long wire that's conductive that we can put into the attachment of our battery charger. This can sit down inside along with the barrel, along with anything else that's having rust removed in the electrolytic. All right, so what we have here is denatured alcohol, which is really good for stripping oils off in a glass jar. We've got all our screws. We're just going to drop them in here. All right, no biggie. Close this up. I'm going to give this a little shake. And I'm also going to use this, take advantage of this. I'm going to put all the parts that will fit in here. Start taking all the oils off. Right, okay, that works. There's another hammer here, that works. All right, there's a little hammer screw, put that in there. Let's see, you know what, that'll work. I'll go ahead and add some more alcohol to that. That's gonna be it. So we've got the trigger assembly still, we've got the butt plate, trigger. So those big pieces we're gonna get with by hand, not in the glass jar. All right, so I've taken out the parts. You can see that as soon as you take them out, I mean, I've taken all the oil off of them and they'll literally start rusting right before your eyes. That is rust forming on there. See? So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get this. Let's see, this and this we're going to actually tie. This we're going to go ahead and put in here. All right. So we got, just going to get all our bits inside the basket. Get all our screws in here, right? They've all got their oil off of them. They're all in the basket, all right? And as long as they're in the basket, they are all going to be touching either themselves or the basket. The basket's going to transfer the electrical current and the rust will come off of them right through the basket. All right? All right, so here's our basket with our smalls. All right, so we've got our basket, right? We've got a nice long wire. We've got other parts that we want to de-rust. Let's see how it's rusting right before our eyes. We've got a nice screw hole here. All right, we'll bring this down just like this. Okay. Go like this, right? Doesn't have to be fancy, as long as we know that we are making electrical contact, right? So I'm just kind of, just so it stays how I want it in the bath. I'm going to take the next one here, right? I'm going to put it on. All right, there we go. Alright, let's go like this. This. Alright. So this will be in the bath. Liquid will be at least that high. This will be at least that deep. This will be completely submerged. Alright. set this aside. Another piece of copper here. Alright. Got another piece of wire here. You gotta clean these other parts. Denatured alcohol. Alright, so I'm just gonna put these parts in here. I like to use glass. Be careful, don't break the glass. Alright. Then I can pour from one to another. And if the jar is big enough, then I can get parts, bigger parts in there, get the oil off of them, and get some more. Alright, denatured alcohol. Just gonna pour it in here. And of course, I'll keep a lid on this jar for the next part, next batch, next what do I want to call it, project. All right, so we're gonna let the grease and oil come off of those parts, and we'll be right back. All right, so we're back here at the chamber. All right, we've got our chamber. Now we know we need 1 tablespoon per gallon of washing soda. So the way I like to mix it is I like to put the washing soda into the chamber first, before I've added any water. I'm gonna go straight to 4 gallons. So we have plenty of moisture. So 1, 2, 3, 4. The reason I like to put the powder in first is because now that I'm adding the water all the way down there, it's going to mix really well. I don't have to worry about it getting mixed well. Alright, we pulled all the oil out of the barrel and out of the exterior of the barrel, and right now we're going to put it in to make sure that all the rest is dead. We're going to put it in the electrolytic system. Alright, so what we've got here, we're going to give this. We've got our heavyweight electrical handle, right? I'm just going to connect that right here. All right, so again, nothing fancy, right? Just got a little hook here. I'm going to send it through here, put it in, supporting the weight of the barrel, right? Not going to go anywhere, even if it goes down in there, it's no big deal. Nice and easy. Okay. Alright. Oh, overfilled it. Haha. Alright, so we've got our hammers. Put them down in here. And we've got our basket with our hammer assemblies. Right, put that down in here. You know what? Actually, I just realized we have other parts that still need to go in. I forgot. I need to take these out. I'll come back. Right. So just real quick, I've got hanging from this copper here, just like this, all the parts, as long as they're touching metal and the electric current flows through them. There's your basket at the bottom. We will remove the rust and convert it. We've already got the barrel in here, but we're going to go ahead and add this. Alright, so we have every piece of metal that goes to that 153-year-old firearm. The barrels, the screws, the plates, everything submerged in our electrolytic fluid. Alright, we've got it connected negative to what they call in this process the artifacts, and the positive to our anode. Okay? Now we're going to plug it in. Okay, so we are connected. And while it says here 2 to 6 amp charge, right? The charging light doesn't come on charged. Lamps reverse doesn't. It is an automatic charger, but trust but verify is what they say, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to give it a quick test poo. All right. There you go. We got 4 amps going into the liquid. Now what we will see here shortly will be bubbles, which will tell us for sure that it's doing its job. I'm going to leave this here overnight. Now I can change it, and I can go up to 10 amp boost. Let's go to 10 amp just to see what that gives us. How interesting. 469. Let's go to 50 amp just to see what happens. Engine start, right? Still only 4.6. Okay. So that's all it's going to put into it, which is fine. 4.7. That's fine. That's right in what I want it to go anyway. I don't need it to be really hot. We'll come back here in a little bit and see how bubbly it is. All right, so it has been in the rust removal overnight, and now it is completely rust and oil free. It is perfect condition for bluing, except we are going to take a little wire wheel to it in a couple of spots and we're going to take some air to it. Make sure there's no water. Then after a little bit of wire wheeling with a clean wire wheel, we're going to blue it. So one brand new Dremel wire wheel, and what we're basically going to do is go down all the tight little spots along the connection of the 2 barrels. Get any dark spots that we find, like that, and then we will blue it. When bluing it, in fact, before we even blue it, we have to do this now. I'm going to hit it with the heat gun just to make sure that all the moisture's out of it. We're going to take some fresh steel wool and give it a once over, and we are going to then warm the barrel with the heat gun and start bluing. All right, it's hard to do with one hand, but I have now completely coated the barrel with super glue, and I'm going to immediately hit it with the heat gun to dry it for 30 seconds. Now, once it starts drying, that's when you start your 30-second count, because it's at the drying stage, not when it's wet, it's when it's dry that the bluing chemical reaction occurs best. Then here in about 10 seconds, we're going to take it and we're going to hit it with steel wool real quick and then wash it with soap and water. All right, so we're just going to hit this. It's still warm. We're going to hit this with just some good old God Bless America Rem oil, right? You know it, you love it. Here we go. I mean, I'm saturating this metal because it's been completely stripped of all its oil. And so this oil now is gonna really soak in and make sure I get it in all the bits. All the nooks and crannies inside there. Okay. So now that we are absolutely saturated with oil, we're going to warm it up just a little bit more with the heat gun, but we're going to stay far enough away that obviously we don't start an oil fire. So you'll see that metal drink up that oil. So that was 2 coats of super glue and a real heavy coat of oil. We're going to let that oil saturate into the metal again, like I said. When it was soaked with oil and warm, I grabbed my steel wool, right? And I wanted to make that copper inlay pop even a little more for a photo op. I'm here. All right, so now what we're gonna do is keep ourselves busy. So everything has been derusted, right? But it's still kind of there, but it will come off wire brush. Of course, you saw that I coated all of these with oil. So what's happening is the oil is mixing with the the electrolysis changes iron oxide, which is science for rust, back to iron, free iron, and oxygen. So, for example, my mother-in-law, quick story, came into the garage while I was setting this up. She saw me hooking electricity up, putting a bunch of metal and powder into a liquid and electricity. She says to me, you know, I told her what I was doing, and she says, "Do you need to open a window? Is that can that blow up?" I said, "No, Mom. It's making oxygen," which is, of course, certainly flammable, but it's not making it truly volatile like hydrogen or something, gas. Anyway, so it's coming clean, really good, real easy. I'm not working real hard here. You know, I'm gonna hit this with the brass brush here on the front side where it's engraved and it's pretty. And then we're going to throw it into that denatured alcohol. We're going to hit it with the heat gun, dry it off real quick. Have ourselves a little bit of super blue poured into our jar. And we're going to cover these two hammer assemblies with super blue. See what it looks like? It's kind of, looks dirty. That wasn't hard. You saw how much work I put into it. Now watch this. That, my friends, boys and girls, is ready to be blued. Once we pull the oil off of it, backside, it'll come off really good in the denatured alcohol. Check it out. Ooh, that one's dirt. Okay, all right, there's the denatured alcohol. So I'm gonna drop that right in there. Not drop it hard. Here's glass. That right there. Cover that up, let that sit. Pull that rim oil off of there, and then we'll blue that. And we're gonna do, oh, I scrubbed this as well already. I'm gonna go ahead and put that in there as well, and we'll blue this. All right, so while those are soaking in the alcohol, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do a little work here on the trigger assembly. The trigger assembly is a little tight, all right, because it's dirty. All right, that's okay. So we're gonna get a screwdriver. We're gonna take this apart. Taking note that that was really comfortably not tight. Obviously this is an axle, so I'm certain that that's the reason it's not real super tight. I'd like to try and make it so that we can all see together a little bit of the patience and attention that we can give. All right, so here's our screw. Remember, everything is absolutely dying of thirst for oil. So once you've blued, you've have to give everything just a massive drink of oil and then let it sit overnight. And you'll see that blue turn and just pop. But you've got to feed it a really good dose of God Bless America Rem oil. Every little piece of metal off of this firearm saturated with oil. Front, back, grooves, front, back again. Give everything a turn. Give everything a little wiggle. Give everything a little move. Turn it over. Make sure you don't lose anything. If you do not do this and you just walk away after having blued, just blued everything, I don't care if you did the bluing 20 coats, you're going to come back to everything rusted because the metal is absolutely dying of thirst for oil. And you'll be doing it all over again, stripping it and de-rusting it and sanding it, all the things. Now, I mean, you want standing oil. You want to hit it and it splashes. Splash, splash, splash oil. All right, that's how thirsty it is. That's what you want to give it for the first whole night after doing this. And I promise you, you will be absolutely thoroughly impressed with your results. And now it's time to clean up, clean up. Okay, time to clean up. Get all your junk, all your used up steel wool, any rags that might be a little too used up. Have your dirty pile that's going to go through the washing machine. Just don't tell mama that it's going through the washing machine, you know what I mean? Cleaning up, getting everything organized, putting things away. We know we're not going to be using any more of the super blue. We used about half of this bottle between 2 vintage shotguns. Okay. Our Rem oil, we'll probably use it some more, so we're going to leave it out. We will be honing oil up. We will be busting out the bore hones again to do a final, because what happens is, okay, so we did all that honing earlier, right? We're pretty happy with it, but there was still substantial rust pitting that we couldn't get with the hones. So we ran it through the salt, not the salt, through the electrolytic rust remover system, right? Well, yes, that killed rust inside in the deep pits, but the second it came out, yes, I ran a rag through it, a patch with some oil, but not enough to saturate the metal. And I guarantee you that inside here, if I run, in fact, I'll do it just to show you. I'm going to run a patch through each barrel, and I guarantee you it comes out bright red, rusty red. Sorry about that. That wasn't supposed to happen. You're probably pretty nauseous now. rusty. That's okay, because we expect that. You may not have, but I did. I expected it. I knew that was going to be, and I was going to be honing again. You know what? It's okay, because I know that this is there's a surface rust in there, but it's, when you take all the oil out of metal and you have it shiny, just shiny, not a drop of oil in that metal, where it's so thirsty, it rusts instantly. It oxidizes. Well, this oxidation isn't, I ran a bunch of oil, I sprayed a bunch of oil into it, and that's why, you know, it's coming out right now. But don't worry, this is not something to be excessively concerned about, because tomorrow we are going to be doing final honing, and we're going to work on the stock. See, here we're already cleaning up. Just a few patches, just to break up, take out some of that rust. Because it is still pitted. It's not brand new, baby soft, so smooth that there's no place for the oxidation to grab a hold of. It's pitted, it's bumpy, it's got all these places for rust to form, for it to oxidize. But we will be cleaning that up. Don't you fret, don't you worry. Okay, we're gonna give it just one good patch just to hold it over while the metal absorbs. All of this oil that we're feeding it overnight. Okay. All right, let's take our stock. Well, everything is absorbing oil, doing its thing. All right, so we did all the work to the stock earlier. Now we're gonna take it. It's been a couple of days, so it's been sitting there just drying, minding its own business. We're gonna take some steel wool. We're gonna go ahead and give it a once over. Give it a little bit of pressure on the raw wood, okay? Go in the direction of the knurling. Okay, so you're going to go with the direction of the cuts of the knurling. So you're going to go, we're going to do this. You're going to clean it this way with the steel wool, and you're going to clean it this way with the steel wool, right? Okay. We're going to get to the smooth parts. We're going to give, again, with a little pressure. I can't hold it in sand without hitting it. We're just opening the pores, because remember this, we didn't strip the old finish off of this. All we did was scrub it with a little soap and water, and now we're just going to hit it with a little steel wool just to cut the old original finish. By doing that, what we're doing is we're ensuring that it maintains that character, that old character. You know, it's still gonna have its little 150 years worth of dings and bruises. And now if it was really bad, we would do something about it, but this is in really good shape. So, you know, all these little moles, little scars, when it fell off its bike, when it was a teenager, when it scuffed its knee at the roller skating rink, you know, all the little scars that it picked up through its life. But I'll tell you what, we're gonna do hand rub finish now. And when you see how this turns out, you're gonna be impressed and you're gonna wanna do it yourself. Stand by. All done with that steel wool. Now we will be hitting it in between each coat with the steel wool very lightly. And this is gonna take a couple of days. So now we're just gonna, hopefully you have air. If not, use a lint-free cloth or a tack cloth. Go buy a tack cloth because you wanna get all the steel wool fibers, all the little hairs blown off of it. Otherwise, you know, when you get done, you're going to take a real close look at it, be all proud of it, and you're going to see one eyelash underneath 3 coats of lacquer or one shiny piece of steel wool. From here, I'll probably hit fast forward. This is turning into a really long video, but hopefully it's worth it. Hopefully you're enjoying it. Here we go. Let's go fast forward. Okay, not fast forward. Just kidding. All right. All right, Mr. Lacquer. Here we go. Let's make sure we don't have any All right, now that the air compressor's done, I'll tell you what's going on. So, on the first coat of hand rubbed lacquer, you're gonna find that in the knurling especially, you've got to put a lot on it because it's got to fill in, not completely fill in, but it's got to get to, oh, there's a lot of surface area with that knurling. All right? And once we're definitely completely coated and we look at it in the light and we can see that we have oil throughout it, right? sure that we're even all the way around to this point here, right? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to, almost like a squeegee, I'm going to really press into that and bring it down, and it's going to give me a lot. All right. Woo, that was like almost a razor blade, man. That wood's 150-year-old sharp. That's interesting. Now I'm not gonna do lacquer in here. I'm gonna oil gun oil. Now you might get some little spots where the lacquers come around the edge. That's fine. But we're gonna oil it in here. Wherever the metal is covering, we're gonna only oil. Now we got some lacquer in here, but this is a real small piece and moisture's gonna get to this. So yeah, there'll be oil inside, but I do have some lacquer here. So now the thing about hand rubbing, I don't know if you've ever done a hand rub. All right, come on guys. Hand rubbed finish, but it's the heat and the pressure that you're building with your skin. You can't wear a glove. I've tried wearing a glove doing it. It just doesn't work. You gotta use just the good old God-given skin, and you'll feel as it warms up under your finger, you'll feel it start to get tacky, and that's your indicator to move on down. Load the fingers up again with a little bit more oil, right? And what we're doing is, again, the heat from the friction, you'll feel that heat. The wood starts absorbing that oil lacquer, okay? And it'll shine right up. And then you'll stop hitting that spot that's gotten tacky, because if you keep hitting it, then you'll see it's a trial and error, and you learn. You go back over it, add a little bit more oil if you see your fingerprints showing up on it. All right. So here again, we're in the checkering, knurling, and I'm having to load the finger up a lot. Load that knurling. There's a lot of surface area in there, and then when we squeegee that down, it's going to give us a bunch for the butt stop. Okay, so now that's full. Bring it around to the other side. I might not go high speed, fast forward on this. You can fast forward it if you want, but I think I'm giving some good instruction, good information that I probably want you to be able to hear it. I'd want to hear it anyway. Okay, so the checkering, the knurling is now saturated and full. Right, we're oiled down below it. You don't want to see drips. Okay. Now, since my fingers have a lot of oil on it, I can go back up over the stuff that had gotten tacky. And you'll see it'll shine. It'll get really shiny. We know we're covering it well. Okay. And it gets really tacky as it warms up under your fingers. Alright, here we go. Now we're going to squeegee down the stock, butt stock. Now after this first coat, you won't have to put as much in the knurling, in the checkering. Now see, here I've got the rubber gloves. No big deal, at least I don't have to wash 2 hands. And I find acetone on a rag is the best, quickest way for the lacquer. Now, this is the tricky part, alright? Got one side going really well, really nice. Alright. The other side's got rubber glove marks. Now, I don't know if you'll be able to see this. I don't want to get this stuff all over my phone, but just a clothes hanger hanging from the ceiling of the garage. Right? Now we get the other side, and then we'll leave it like that overnight. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab it where there is not lacquer for the finishing. So that's in here, in the hammer area here. I can grab it really well. And I'm pulling against. I've got it well secured to the ceiling of the garage. Right? No fingerprints, okay. Even coating, okay. I gotta switch sides. Alright, I'm going to stop recording. I'm going to wash my hand. This hand's nice and clean. This hand I'm going to use a towel with some acetone. Easiest way to clean it up. And I'll be right back. Alright, so that's the first coat. Hand rubbed lacquer. Acetone. Look at that, nice and clean. Real quick and easy. Reminds you of high school. Brush. Forget I said that. Let's take a look at this stock. All right. So as you can see, it looks like when it's hanging right now. Okay. All right. We'll take a look at it tomorrow, and we'll do what we'll do tomorrow afternoon is we're going to get a fresh piece of 4/0 steel wool, and I'm talking with the weight of the steel wool, no weight at all. Once this is completely dry, it'll be around 1 or 2 o'clock. Right now it's 1 a.m. so 12 hours from now we're going to hit any of the exposed wood that has the hand rubbed lacquer with just the weight of the steel wool. Just the slightest. Blow it off, and then we're going to do another coat. We will not have to use as much because we've already gotten the initial coat into the checkering, into the knurling. And you can see, remember our line? See that evened up real good? You can't really see where that was on either side, really. And once it's really reflective and shiny, you won't be able to see it. It's just going to be amazing. All right, moving on to the metal. The barrel. The barrel has so far 8 coats of bluing. Right? And it has been sitting for a day with puddled oil on it. I'm going to take a clean microfiber, and this is going to become our oil rag for the rest of the show. All right, so pick one out. This is technically, it's actually clean. It just came out of the wash. It's got some stains, but it's clean. So I'm going to grab a hold of this. All right. And I'm going to wipe it down and wipe up the excess oil. It'll soak into the rag, which is great. All right. So we're pretty happy with the blue, the way it turned out for the barrel set. All right. So brought it out into the sun. We can really see, you can see how I took emery cloth to it. I didn't film it, to the, there's a section of pitting on this barrel that was substantially worse than this, but it's still visible. You know, there's some character, like I said, you know, there's some nicks and bumps and bruises, but overall this is a really good looking 10 gauge muzzle loader, double barrel. Right, we're gonna get back to the stock. We've got a solid 3 or 4 days of stock work left to do. I'm actually going to leave this out here and let the sun do a little cooking. Let the sun cook that oil into the metal. See the stock, first coat, nice and dry, nice and shiny. Get up close and personal with it, and yeah, we can see. Let's see if we can find some spots here that you can actually see, where you can tell it's just one coat. Actually, we did pretty good for the first coat. Here's a spot right here. You know, a little bit of a little run there, but that's okay. That'll go away. Alright. Alright. Brand new piece of steel wool. And again, literally like just the weight of the steel wool. Let's see if you can see on a hand rub lacquer finish. See what it does. Look. See it? Let's see. That might be a good spot. Okay, so where that light is reflecting, watch how it dulls with the wiping of the... You see that? Can you... It's kind of hard to tell. Anyway, you can see it when you're in person. You're just going over it very, 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 very lightly with the steel wool all the way around. Make sure you touch it all. Nice long strokes. All right. And once we've done that, we'll blow it off with the air hose. and I'll put another coat. On it, which will dry for another 12 hours. This is, again, a brand new piece of steel wool that we're using on this. So here might be a good spot where you can see how the steel wool, with just the lightest touch, dulls. It's putting microscopic scratches basically into the finish that we rubbed in, and what that does is it gives the next layer something to grab onto. All right, and that is a beautiful hand rubbed finish. All right, looks wet. It's not. It's perfectly dry. Okay. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to saturate these sections here with gun oil. Just good quality, God Bless America ram oil. And get this good and saturated and soaked up with oil, and we'll be putting it back together. And last but not least, in my case, I need to make a couple of new parts, right? Remember this guy? So I've got some steel and I've got my broken part. I'm going to trace it. Then I'm going to rough cut it. Then I'll file it. I'll drill it out. I'll flush drill it. Cut the port out. And then I will try to put some artistic details to it. Now this is for my situation. This is unique to me. I might make this a completely separate video. Otherwise, we are almost complete in putting it together. I will show you that here in just a second. Okay, the ramrod, I put 2 coats of lacquer on it and it's not quite completely dry. So we can't install that. We're just gonna have to imagine it installed for now. I will put in a photograph of it completely installed, but here you go. Here we have complete black powder 10 gauge. I will take some nice photos with a nice background here shortly to put at the end of the video, but there you go. Feature full-length film on complete restoration of, I'm calling it a 150-year-old double-barrel 10-gauge black powder shotgun. I'm Eddie. God bless America. God bless you and your family. Love y'all. Do me a favor, do a like and subscribe. Maybe put a comment or two in there. Doesn't matter what you want to say it. Remember, we're not a U.S. citizen unless we're practicing all our rights. Love you.